So in this video, we're going to look at mobile marketing, what it is, and how it's changed marketing as we know it, and also what we need to pay attention to as marketers in order to take advantage of the opportunities that exist around mobile, and also make sure that we don't exploit our consumers or customers. So firstly, let's just look at some definitions of mobile marketing. And I think what we see here with these definitions and what's similar is that it has to do with this two-way communication. And it also has to do with being personalized and being always available. So this idea that we have these devices on us all the time and marketing via mobile is very much personal, directed at the individual. Some of the things to pay attention to when we're talking about mobile is how rapidly things has changed, and that the fact that it's changed much faster than what was predicted. So obviously now we know most people do have a mobile phone, and we use the phone to access services on the internet more frequently than what we use other devices, and that's always important to have in mind, because you don't necessarily need to have a mobile strategy, but your strategy, digital marketing strategy that is, must be mobile, because it is this little screen that we use the most to access services. So as I said, our strategy needs to be mobile, which means that we need to think about mobile first, and then we can start thinking about how it translates to accessing the internet in other ways. And keep in mind that the mobile is personal. We don't share our devices. Just think about how nervous you get whenever you're showing something on your phone to a friend or family member, and they try to get the device from you. You prefer to hold it and show them like this, right? Not hand over the device. Just think about your behavior around that. It is interactive, it is time relevant, and it's location dependent. Those are the aspects that goes into mobile marketing that we need to keep in mind when we design our mobile strategy. So typically the way we use our mobiles is it's frequent and also for a lot of the time during the day. But we bring this little thing up. It's a powerful computer in your pocket. It is more than just a mobile phone. To some extent, it's weird we still use that word for it, because it is a powerful handheld or pocket-held computer that we have with us more or less all the time. And we use the mobile more for local intent than what we do on other devices, perhaps. So most searches are local based, and it is also based on things that we want to know right here and right now. So of course the device is small, so these are some of the limitations of the device. There's a limit to how much we can see on that screen, but it has powerful capabilities of bringing up information right when and where the consumer want it. Also, we need to keep in mind that searches are done often, increasingly so actually, based on voice activation, and we need to build that into our SEO strategies and so forth, keeping in mind that consumers search slightly different on a mobile. So does everyone have a mobile phone? Yes, according to the World Bank and loads of other statistics as well for that matter, most people around the world these days have a mobile phone. 86% have a smartphone, and 91% have a mobile overall. There's heaps of statistics around there. If you want to play around looking at it per country, you can click on the link on this slide, and that will show you from the World Bank the mobile phone penetration around every country in the world. And as I mentioned earlier, now that we have these powerful devices on us at all time, things are actually happening more rapidly. So here's some interesting statistics of how long it took various types of technologies to reach 50 million users, and we see this sort of massive increase in speed. So 64 years for airlines to reach 50 million users, for example, compared to Pokemon Go, something as rather trivial, 19 days, 1 year for WeChat to reach 1 million users. Yes, if you can break down the mobile phone here, it says it took 12 years, but when we then got the smartphone, that only took 5 years. Well, it took about 20 years for a generic mobile to reach 50 million users. So things are happening faster and faster. And if you look at it from a perspective of apps that goes on our phones, so here's how long it took to reach 1 million users for a range of different apps. Netflix, of course, super popular, took 3.5 years. Our latest, one of our latest favorites, ChatGPT, 5 days to reach to reach 1 million users. There's loads of statistics you can look up about how we use our phones, how much we use it per day, how often we check it a day. So those stats tends to vary a little bit, depending on who's collecting the data, I guess, and how it's measured. But the consensus is that we check our phone often. It's in our pocket. It often comes out of the pocket whenever we have a question that we want answered, and we spend a significant time engaging with that little screen. And also the majority of website traffic is now coming from mobile devices, and that's important for us to consider as marketers. Mobile is not a simple product, which is why I say why we're calling it a phone, because it does so much more than just that. So it covers loads of important hardware, such as telling location. It's got cameras, and we use it for a whole range of things there. And it also includes, of course, loads of complicated software that we use for a whole range of different reasons. So have a look at the paper that's in the core reading for today by Tong and colleagues from 2020. It's a great literature review article and a summary paper on mobile marketing. So the focus here in this paper is on the personalized nature, as I've already stated, of mobile marketing. Because these devices, they know a lot about us, and that information can and will be used by marketers. So it knows, the phone knows where we are, which allows for targeted advertising. It knows when we are likely to be in a sort of wanting to buy stuff mode, and it knows how we use a variety of devices and how we use searches on different types of devices as well. And it also knows, because we have social media apps on there, so it also knows with whom we communicate and what we discuss about the purchases we make. So let's just look at the 4 Ps in light of the personalized mobile marketing mix. So the mobile product in itself offers ample opportunities for targeted and personalized marketing. So it is the mobile is more than just the physical hardware. It also includes a whole range of digital services on the phone, of course. So m-commerce, which is buying stuff using the mobile. We have a lot of single-use apps on our phones these days. We use it for social media, and also mobile wallets, which both Apple and Google is pushing heavily onto us. And I believe most of us today will use our phones or some even our watch. Or ring, for that matter, to pay for products and services. So these are things that makes life convenient for consumers, and we embrace these new opportunities because it provides us with the flexibility to anytime at any place access products and browse offerings. And as statistics now show, is that 50% of e-commerce is actually m-commerce, so it comes from mobile, and mobile apps not just mobile phones, but mobile apps account for nearly 50% of all internet traffic these days. And included in the mobile products is also the now in-home assistants. You can view it as a personal butler or a spy, depending on how you look at it. And we instruct these devices with voice activation, and we push that information quite often over to mobile devices. So this shows you a little bit of the complexity of the mobile product as we know it, and how consumers use these things in tandem. So when we talk about mobile channels, it does of course include the mediums for information delivery, such as SMS, in-app ads, and push notifications and so forth. But it also has to do with how we use our phones to search for things in real life. Because the phone, of course, it enables us, or it gives us easy access to information and an ability to explore in-store promotions. So while, and I'm sure many of you have done this, while you're in a shop looking for products, you check your mobile phone to see, well, perhaps it's cheaper somewhere else, or to search for more product information, perhaps while you're waiting for some staff assistant or some shop assistant rather to come and help you while they're not there. But of course, whenever we do that depending on how we have our privacy settings on our phone, marketers also have access then to our purchase intentions. So when we are searching for products in store, and we click on that button, say yes, allow all the cookies, that gives them potentially direct opportunities for targeted in-store promotions, and try to trigger impulse buying while you are there in a shopping mode. Despite this tiny little screen, we do, for some reason that goes beyond me sometimes, prefer to search for information on our phone, and the search or the growth in mobile searches has gone up exponentially over the last few years, and we do perform searches on our mobiles a lot. Customers spend more than 5 hours a day on their mobile device. As I said earlier, these statistics tend to vary a little bit. So you can check the latest one if you want, but I think the important thing to note is that we do spend a lot of time on our mobile, and despite having other things around us, whether there is a fire or a screaming child or whatever it is, we seem to be very inclined to still take out a phone and have a look at that screen. So there seems to be little that stops us from searching information on our screens. And when we do look at that screen, the majority of that time is spent on consuming various types of media, including social, and looking for information. So keep in mind that what we use a mobile phone for is very frequently to look up information, and that's important to know as a marketer. Now, when it comes to pricing on mobile platforms, there's sort of two broad pricing strategies. Freemium models and dynamic pricing. So dynamic pricing, think car sharing platforms, for example, like Uber, that knows the current demand and as such will adjust the pricing accordingly. So those things are quite common. Freemium models includes having the product up there at first for free. It seems that free has won to a large extent. After all, mobile is also on the internet, and when we hear internet, consumers want crap for free. That's what we become accustomed to. But freemium models can quite often work very well on mobile devices. Although the research around that goes a little bit in various directions. So when a freemium model can have a negative impact on paid versions, especially if it's free at first, and then after a few weeks or months or years or whatever, it becomes a subscription thing, and then you have to pay. That may not be the best way to go. Well, some research do suggest that when you have both a free and a paid version up overall, then that from the beginning that increased the overall demand for the apps. So it's important to have a good strategy and plan for pricing from the very beginning, and don't make too many changes to it perhaps as you go along. So when it comes to mobile promotions, we have now moved beyond the one-size-fits-all advertising model that was popularized through television ads in the 60s. We've moved past that and it's been replaced by a personalized promotion directly to the individual customers based on their purchase history, their preferences, and also the timing, so we know where they are and what they're interested in at the moment. So we need to dive into consumers' usage history, their thumbs up, like behavior, and from there we can then fit individual preferences. Now, of course, I shouldn't necessarily, it doesn't matter really what I think, but there are some clear downsides to this. Personalized, that's the word that a marketer will prefer, because that sounds good, right? Personalized ad copy directly to the consumer, and promotion content based on your individual search preferences or your shopping preferences or your behavior. When things are personalized, that's, oh, it's for me, that's cute, I love it, that's great, but it can be also rather intrusive, and there is a fine line of where we sit here ethically, and whether it is fair to take advantage of consumers' weaknesses to know when they are most prone to make a purchase, and then hound in to make them make impulse purchases, for example, that otherwise would not have made. And then we need to ask ourselves the question, does that actually satisfy the needs and the wants of the consumers? Are we providing value to them, or are we taking advantage of them? So on that topic of taking advantage of the consumer, the mobile predictions coming further with more advanced machine learning and artificial intelligence is something that we need to think about very carefully, I think. So we have all these access to all this information on mobile devices about who the customer are, where they are, when they are likely to make purchases, who they talk to through social media. But of course, a lot of this data is unstructured and not directly observable or fit the purpose for a marketer. However, a machine can help us there, and artificial intelligence can help us with machine learning algorithms that can structure that data and then know exactly when the consumer is at their most vulnerable, and then target with products. And if we let these things run amok without any human oversight, and allow the algorithms perhaps to do most of that marketing for us, not only do we make ourselves redundant, but the machine algorithm is quite often just based on either maximizing profit or keeping the consumer engaged for as much as possible, and don't really care about whether or not we provide value for them, or whether their needs and wants are met. And moreover, let's not forget the definition of marketing. It is supposed to, as marketers, we are supposed to create value for the business, for the consumer, and for society as a whole. And we need to think about to what extent we actually continue to do that by allowing machine algorithms to push products on consumers at their most vulnerable states via our mobile devices. So think about that. The ethics of mobile marketing perhaps is something great to write about in a blog post. In the second video for today, we're going to talk a little bit more about Google's framework of how we use mobile devices. So I'll catch you in that video.